So in this video I will show where several doctors, nurses, medical facilities that were involved in my treatment regarding my injury. Many of them used the same post office box located in the city of Belfast, Maine, United States of America, in order to receive bill payments. And I got these bills, and I'll share these. The address, it appears as P.O. Box 14,000, Belfast, ME, that's the state of Maine, 04915 4033. So I'll describe what happened to me briefly, and then on each one of these examples I'll go into it in some detail. In the summer of 2018, I believe that I had broken my neck, and I went around to several doctors and hospitals, emergency rooms, to try to get this thing diagnosed and treated. They would tell me that I had pulled a muscle in my neck, and meanwhile I'm sitting there and I'm feeling like my neck is broken. I hear crunching and incredible pain in my head. I could not turn my head, could not move my head very easily. I visited the emergency department of St. Vincent's East Hospital, Ascension, located in Birmingham, Alabama, several times. Now I received an x-ray and 3 computed tomography scans, that's CT scans, with and without contrast, over the course of about a year. They never would give me the correct diagnosis on what happened to me. I, the patient, I had to go back and get my own medical records. And when I looked at the images, I was amazed because there was a blatant contradiction of what I was being told by the doctors, what was written down in the doctors' recordings, in the paperwork, charts, and records, and then the pain that I was feeling and what showed up in the medical imagery itself. So I had to find out on my own, basically, that I had broken the underside of my skull. And I could never get any doctor or hospital to acknowledge this. So what I saw in the pictures themselves, it looked like something out of a horror movie, like Alien or something. I had a wound underneath my skull in the upper area of my neck, and because I was repeatedly misdiagnosed, this area became infected and later infested with parasite worms. Yeah, and some of these doctors involved, they are very well experienced, very well paid. Many of them are multi-millionaires. I believe it's inexcusable how they could miss such a large injury that appears in x-rays, CTs, and MRI imagery. And I think that every person who lives in this city or is involved in this city, Belfast, Maine, where this post office box and United States Post Office is used to collect these payments for these missed services by these medical professionals, they need to be aware of what happened to me. And if I lived in this town, I would not want this going on in my town. I believe that there may be major fraud involved in my case, in my various visits, possibly patient dumping. And this is a violation of United States federal law. It's called EMTALA, EMTALA. And this states that when you go to a hospital in the United States of America, the hospital is obligated to treat you based on your injury. So what I think happened to me was, and this happens a lot more than people think it does, this is incredibly common. This is what I've discovered. The main factor is this. When I went into the hospital with this injury, I did not have insurance or ability to pay or source of income. All right. And then what I've found that many hospitals will do is, if you can't pay, if you don't have a source of income, you don't have insurance, you will be misdiagnosed. And this allows the hospital, through plausible deniability, basically. And this allows them to circumvent complying with this federal law. And I think this is what happened to me many, many times. And what's more, it looks like other unrelated physicians, doctors, and nurses, they would back up and support the original findings of this major hospital, St. Vincent's East Ascension, Birmingham, Alabama, rather than go against the tide and make a new pronouncement or give a second opinion to the contrary. Now, this is my experience, and I'll demonstrate this here. And so I found repeatedly that I would get substandard service and treatment, or no treatment or service whatsoever. I mean, I went in, I paid, $300 cash, and they did absolutely nothing for me. And this is unacceptable. Others, I would go in, and then I would find these bills that would come back with this Belfast, Maine mailing address, and they would request that I send them several hundred or several $1,000s for basically misdiagnosing or mistreating me. This is unacceptable. Okay, this one is St. Vincent's Ambulatory Healthcare Network, LLC. And this bill, this was for an MRI that I had done in August of 2019. And this was looked at by Michael Brant Ruff MD. So I had a bill from this scan. It was for $504.75. Okay, and here's what Dr. Michael Brant Ruff said he found in my MRI images. He says the MRI, the cervical spine is essentially unremarkable without disc protrusion or significant stenosis. And I was later told by the nurse, Frankie James Crum from Northside Medical Associates, now Complete Health, Fairest Capital, located in Trussville, Alabama, that this MRI scan, it showed negative normal, whatever that means. I was basically told I had no injuries that showed up in this MRI. So here's what I did. I was sitting there, and I almost was dead at the point that I had this scan done in the summer of 2019. I went and got my own medical imagery. I got a copy of this MRI, the pictures. And here are the pictures. I'm uploading them here where everybody can see them. All right. So this is why I had this scan done, and it was ignored by this a very experienced radiologist, Michael Brant Ruff. And what's more, Northside Medical Associates, Complete Health, Fairest Capital, and this is the company of CEO Ronald Helms, headquarters Pell City, Alabama. Okay, they did not support me as a patient and go after this erroneous diagnosis. So I was left with this bill for $500 on top of all this, and I really needed a diagnosis on this thing. So here's what shows up in the imagery. All right, and this is an MRI image of my head, and there is a anomaly in this image that's about 3 inches in diameter. There's infection surrounding this anomaly, and it goes out into my jaw area. That's the white milky area. I've circled the injury and the infection so you can see where this is. And the doctors, the nurses, Northside Medical Associates, Complete Health, St. Vincent's Hospital, Ascension, and the associated doctors, they would not tell me what this was or even acknowledge it. I had to find this on my own, and yet I was sent these bills for this outrageous amount of money for basically no service or a misservice that was provided to me.